So today we're going to be talking about miscarriage, what happens after miscarriage, what I'm doing to help prepare my body to be in a healthy state for hopefully future pregnancies soon. It's a lot of stuff that you don't think about, and my mind is like now hyper focused on what I can be doing right, how I can best prepare myself and my body for a healthy pregnancy. So even after having a very healthy, normal pregnancy, the next time was not the same. We lost our baby at almost 10 weeks, and it has been an experience. So I'm really excited. I actually just took a hormone test today. I'm working with Modern Fertility on this video. I had been looking at their tests actually and wanting to take one when we were thinking about having another, but I got pregnant right away. So that was also something I'm really thankful for, and I do not say that like lightheartedly. I know that that is something to be extremely grateful for. This is a hormone test and can help you kind of figure out your fertility and what that's going to look like in the future. So I would have taken this like before I was even thinking about having kids. Like at that moment I was always thinking about having kids, but like before I wanted to actually start trying to have kids. So this test is going to help me figure out if I have more or less eggs than average, or if my hormones are aligned with someone with PCOS, which is 1 in 10 women, I think. So things like that, kind of things that make me nervous, and I'm very anxious to find out what these results are going to tell me, which I will share them with y'all as soon as I get them. But yeah, so I took the test this morning. It was really easy to do, which I will link it down below because it actually tells you every single hormone that it's going to test for and let you know what that is, like your thyroid stuff, and yeah, there's a ton. So I will link that down below for y'all so you can actually know exactly what they're testing for. I read it all this morning because I just took it, but all you do is you prick your finger and you collect blood on one of the test cards. And I'm on the 3rd day of my period, unfortunately, which I'll talk more about that later, as this was our first month actually trying again after miscarriage. So anyway, I was on my 3rd day of my period, and that's when I'm supposed to take my test. But if you're on hormonal birth control, you can just take it whenever. I took it this morning and just drew some blood. So I made sure I was really hydrated the night before, and then had water the morning of. And then you have to fast. So fasting 8 hours. So that was easiest for me to just take it in the morning right when I woke up. I collected my blood on the cards, and then you have to let them dry for an hour. And then they come with little bags you put them in, and then a already prepaid shipping label. The shipping is all free, which is great. And this test is $150. Which is very cheap compared to if I were to go get my blood drawn and get all this testing done. What I've heard is most OBs wouldn't necessarily run these tests for you if you went in and were concerned about your levels for no reason, if you haven't been trying to have a baby for a year or something like that. I'm not totally sure, but just kind of from my understanding that they usually won't run tests like this. So I'm really excited to actually kind of get to know more, because I don't know exactly why I miscarried. It could have been from a number of things. I don't know why I didn't get pregnant this month. Obviously it's like there's so many different things. Like getting my hormones checked is going to be a huge relief, knowing either what I need to do or that everything's okay. So I'm excited to get those results back. But so I got my results back, and everything came back pretty normal, except my TSH, which correlates to my thyroid, was a little bit elevated. So I'm going to go to the doctor and just have them check it out, see what they think about it, and see what we should do. But everything else came back good, and with every single hormone they tested, they gave a ton of information about why it's important for your fertility and your health and all that. So that was really cool, because honestly I didn't know what a lot of those hormones that they were testing were, but now I feel like I know way more about how my body's working. So that's awesome, and it just gives you a good idea about what your egg reserves are, and if you want to go, what it would look like if you did do like egg retrieval through IVF, like what the average amount of eggs you would get, like just very in-depth information about what could really help you in the future planning for babies. So I'm really excited about that, just having a little peace of mind knowing what's going on and then getting it figured out. Anyway, I'm going to talk about everything that I've been doing after miscarriage and trying to have a baby and all of that, because it's a lot. So anyway, I'm really excited. I have a discount, $20 off for y'all to try the Modern Fertility test, and I am very excited about it, and it was very easy to do the test. So They also have prenatals and the pregnancy tests and ovulation tests. These are very important. So our pregnancy test, I honestly took 2 of them already, and they're really cute and tiny. It's really awesome, kind of your one-stop shop for all things fertility and preparing your body to have babies. And it just will give you a good idea if you know you want to look more into egg freezing, anything like that. So anyway, I will leave a link down below and all the information will be down there for y'all. But I want to talk about all the things that happen after miscarriage. Not necessarily the exact day you miscarry. I have a whole video of my experience. This is just a general, from my understanding, what is pretty normal for people after miscarriage, as far as trying to figure out where your body's at. So I did a Q&A on Instagram, asking what questions y'all wanted me to answer, and this was one of the big ones, is what happens actually after a miscarriage. And there's a lot more to it. In my head, before this happened to me, I kind of thought, you miscarry, it's extremely sad, but then you kind of just start trying again, it's whatever. No, that's not really it. There's a lot more to it. Your body takes a while to adjust after, or at least some people's do, some people's don't. It really depends. It can depend how far along you were, or just your body in general. So I was about 10 weeks. So for me, I was still in the first trimester. It was considered an early miscarriage, but it took a while for my body to get back to normal. So this is just the general what happens. So usually the day you miscarry, I'm not going to be talking about the actual day I miscarried and how that went for me. I have a whole video on my experience, like what happened, how I know I was miscarrying, all of that. So I will leave that link down below for y'all. After you miscarry, I know some people cramp and just don't feel good for a few days. That wasn't my experience. I didn't have any other symptoms, which I'm thankful that that was the case. My body felt normal other than the bleeding for 9 days. So after you miscarry, you bleed for a couple days, like a week I think is pretty normal. And so that happened for me. I went to get my blood drawn every week to test HCG and make sure it's going down, because the HCG is what a pregnancy test detects, and it keeps you from getting your period and all that, you know. So you want to test that down and make sure that it's coming out of your system at a good rate, because if it's not, that means there could be some tissue left. And yeah, so it was I had a pretty normal miscarriage experience. If there is a normal miscarriage experience, I feel like I had all the average, like it went down by increments. For me, I went to get my blood tested 4 times, and I think it took 3 or 4 weeks for it to get down to 26. A lot of times they want you to test till 0 or under 5. So but I got my period before I went to get another test. So once you test your HCG down, it can take a while. Some people, if you miscarry on 6 weeks, and a chemical pregnancy, I think they still consider that, like if you have a chemical pregnancy, your HCG may not be as high. When I miscarried, I was 10 weeks and my levels were at 31,000, so they were very high. A couple days later, it was at 2,500, so it went down by like 29,000 in 2 days. And then continued on. By less than 4 weeks after miscarriage, it was down to 26. So it was very low, barely detectable on a cheap pregnancy test. So I wanted to make sure I took pregnancy tests because we had been trying. My doctor kind of said, I went to my checkup and I was still bleeding. It was my last day of bleeding. He said, once you stop bleeding, you can kind of just, and it's been 2 weeks since miscarriage, you can kind of just resume trying again. But he's like, we want to make sure HCG is down to 0. We had been trying, so I didn't want to take one randomly like a month later thinking that the HCG was completely out of my system, and it wasn't. And I got a positive thinking I was pregnant, but it was actually just left over from my miscarriage. So I decided to take the cheapy ones from Amazon pretty often, and just to see like what it looked like. But it shows up if it's over 25 on a cheapie. So that's still pretty high. So you won't ovulate or get your period if you have that much HCG in your system. Some people actually do. I heard so many different stories, so it really depends on your body, but typically they say that you won't ovulate if you have HCG in your system. So that was my experience, because trust me, I tracked it. Trust me, we tried to have a baby and I didn't ovulate. Obviously, I could have just not, but after miscarriage, that's pretty much the big thing of kind of what you have to do to track down. Some people don't do that. That was what my doctor suggested, and I did, and I wanted to make sure that it was coming out of my system so I didn't have to go back in and get a D&C done or any of that. My miscarriage just happened kind of naturally. For waiting for my period to come was a very long experience because I miscarried November 8th, 9 days I bled, and then from then on out I was taking ovulation strips, but I couldn't really because they were still picking up HCG. So I waited until my levels got to 26. That was around the 1st of December. My levels were at 26, and then they finally got, like, I could not pick them up on a pregnancy test by the 3rd of December. So my levels definitely dropped under 25 because I think that's what the really cheap ones from Amazon pick up is 25 level of HCG. So by the 3rd, I started to bleed pretty heavy, and I definitely thought that that was my period, which it very well could have been, but it was 5 days, was pretty heavy, and then it stopped. I wasn't bleeding for a week, and then I started bleeding again for another 8 days. Very light, minimal, but I'm guessing that was actually my period because that was more in line with it being just a lighter period. I've only had 4 periods now in 2 years, since December 2019, because I didn't get my period back until August. I got pregnant in September, and then I got 1 period in December and then 1 period now. Yeah, so I really have not had that many periods. Weird, my body had 2 bleeding times I thought were my period, and then I finally was able to track ovulation. And if you are trying to have a baby again pretty soon, what I've done is tracked my LH and taken ovulation tests. That's what will tell me, you know, I'm in my fertile week. The modern fertility ones, I'm really excited to use this cycle. I haven't used them yet, and I couldn't take them until HCG was out of my system because LH can sometimes rise when you have HCG in your system. But once I did, I started tracking that. I took 2 of those a day, every day. I think I went through like 100 of them. Which now, if you're not trying to get pregnant, I don't think you need to take them, but if you are trying to get pregnant, I think that it's probably good. I also basal body temperature I've been tracking, and that you take your temperature every morning. If you don't know, at your resting, like not moving, barely, you cannot get up, it's just like right away take it. And I'll set an alarm at like 6 in the morning, take them around the same time every day. Your temperature will stay like kind of the same, and then you'll hopefully get a positive ovulation test, and then your basal body temperature will go up the next couple days and it'll stay up here, if that kind of makes sense. And that's exactly what mine did. This was my first time charting, and so then I knew I ovulated, which was great because it took me almost 2 months to ovulate after my miscarriage, which really sucks. Especially because we had been trying, and yeah. So also what I've been doing, which I'll talk more about all of that in a little bit, but also I have been taking prenatals. I've just been taking the Target brand prenatals, and then I've been taking this, I'll put it up here, vitamin. It's like COQ15. I just heard it's good. It's like for blood flow. So me and Bobby have both been taking that, which I guess it's good for your eggs, like the quality of them. I'm not exactly sure, but I've read a lot, and it's like good for you and good for fertility and stuff. So we're doing that, and yeah, I'm taking the modern fertility test, so hopefully everything comes back good, and I'll keep y'all updated on that. But yeah, so definitely this month was rough. It was not a great one because after miscarriage, I think I've been hyper aware of my body, which is fine, but also like when I took my pregnancy test the first 2 times that I got pregnant, like I said, it was on the first try, and I say that with a really grateful heart because that is what kind of has kept me going through all this, is knowing that my body can get pregnant, which I know that a lot of people don't like when you say that to someone that's miscarried. It's like, well, at least you can get pregnant. Like, that doesn't really help the situation. It doesn't make you feel good, but for me, I do hold on to that like that is a good thing. And so I'm praying that means that I can get pregnant quick again. This month was the first month that we had tried, and I got negative tests. If you have been trying to get pregnant for months, you are really strong. You are so tough, because I literally, after 1 month, I was distraught. I'm only on day 3 of my period, so I'm like still in shock. Not really, I'm doing a lot better, but it's really hard when you get your period after trying. I'm trying to eat a lot healthier, so I have been eating a ton of veggies with just dip, which I eat pretty healthy, but I feel like I kind of would miss out on like getting whole foods. Like I've been eating a head of broccoli almost every day and like dipping it in dip just to get those broccoli vitamins in. That I don't care if I am eating too much artichoke jalapeno dip. I'm like doing it, you know, lightly, but that's not the point of why I'm eating the carrots and the broccoli. It's just I want to get that nutrients and eat like whole foods. And instead of having a treat, I've been having apples and peanut butter and chocolate chips. Like that's still a treat, but and a lot of dates and just like more whole foods. So I've also been doing that and drinking a ton of water, just because it's like, especially if like after miscarriage, you're like, or if you're trying to conceive, you're just like trying to do everything right, and there's only so much you can do. But I'm trying to focus on those things instead of getting really caught up in, you know, what could be the problem. But that is kind of where we're at, and that is just, I feel like, a very general what happens after a miscarriage. Your body does weird stuff. You have to track your HCG down, and you just have to get back into it, and there's a lot to it. But if you have miscarried, I'm sure I missed a ton of things that happen after you miscarry, but leave your experience down below if you want to share, obviously only if you want to share kind of your experience with it, and how long your body took to get back to normal, anything like that that maybe is helpful if you're watching this and you kind of want to hear what other women's experiences are. Modern Fertility also has an app that has like fertility nurses on there, and they have like forums, I think, and you can chat. I haven't actually done it because I'm gonna do that today, and kind of, I think you can track your ovulation strips on there. They'll tell you, like, it'll chart it for you, or tell you like when you're ovulating, when you're peaking. Yeah, free app. Log tests with your camera. So I'm gonna do that. I haven't done that yet because I haven't been taking ovulation tests because I'm on my period. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. It wasn't that groundbreaking or anything like that, but just kind of what I'm doing to help prepare my body. So I think that is just everything that I wanted to share, but I hope y'all enjoyed this and it was somewhat helpful. I don't know what I even, you know, if this is helpful, but this is the general idea, nothing too detailed. But if you have a question or want to know anything, I've been really open about this situation, and I want to keep being open about it because it's really helped me, other women really being open about it and sharing details. So I'm going to try to keep sharing as much as I can in this experience. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy, and leave me a comment or message me on Instagram if you have a question or if you want to chat or anything like that, because it's kind of lonely going through this. And so yeah, I'll see y'all in my next one.